What's up guys, John here. Elon Musk issued a warning to America 60 days ago that the migrant crisis is going to get a lot worse and migrants will soon be moving in to suburban single-family homes all throughout the country.
Elon Musk said that migrants will, quote, come for your home after a video was shared to X of migrants being dropped off at a school in New York City.
It sounded far-fetched, at least in my opinion 60 days ago. But now what you're starting to see is that is in fact what is happening. It's happening in Denver. They just announced this 2 days ago. Denver property owners are being asked to rent to migrants.
City officials are apparently asking rental property owners to rent directly to immigrants.
The effort is meant to save millions of dollars as the migrant crisis is adding a strain to the city financially.
It's happening inside of Boston. It's happening in New York City and Philadelphia and California, all over the country. This is what is happening. Now you have to ask yourself, when you look at the chain of events unfolding in America, you can see one thing and one thing very, very clearly, that Americans are going to be in a very desperate situation very soon. Sky-high credit card debt, record-high home equity lines of credit, layoffs that are unfolding, insurance premiums going through the roof, property taxes going up. And when people are in desperate situations, they do things they otherwise would not consider doing. Well, such as potentially bringing in a roommate. And I believe what we're going to see is many of these roommates will be from different countries. They'll call them, newcomers, or they'll call them, whatever they call them, refugees. But people are going to need housing. And with this, I think it's going to change America. I think it's going to be one of the biggest changes to real estate that we've ever seen. In this video, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you exactly what is happening. I mean, they are slashing budgets across the entire country. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. They're taking people's work hours that work at the city from 32 to 40 hours to zero. No hours, but they're not calculating it as a layoff.
The city calling for almost $200 million in cuts in the face of the migrant crisis.
The city is telling hourly employees that they may have their hours reduced to zero.
Right, because they don't want to, scare everybody. I'm going to break this down. I'm going to show you the facts and show you why I think this is the biggest story right now. Please hit the like button, hit the like button. YouTube will share this content to educate people about what's going on in the U.S. economy. If you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow or for Tuesday if we have no more bookings available for tomorrow. Take a look at this. So Denver property owners are being asked to rent to migrants. They're offering $2,000, $2,000. Now the first thing that I think about when I see this is when you have millions of people that need shelter and they're offering premiums like that, and you have many people in America that can't afford housing. Is this going to increase rents in certain areas? Are landlords going to hold out, for a bigger ticket, type of tenant that can afford to pay this or potentially rent to the state like a Section 8 type program? Are we going to see this? I think we possibly could. I mean, because when you start to see evictions soaring and you start to see, a lot more cost being held by landlords are going to start to go to a place of, financial security. They're going to start leaning into Section 8 type of programs, where it's guaranteed by the state. And so what they said is property owners in Denver are being asked to rent their places out to migrants as Colorado City shuts down 4 public-run shelters. The Mile High City's Migrant Services issued an email this week to property owners in the area seeking assistance in housing the city's newcomers to get them out of shelters into more stable housing. We put out our feelers to all landlords that we have connections with. Basically said, listen, we're going to have some newcomers who are going to need housing, right? And so this is what's happening in Denver. Denver, same location. They're offering up to $2,000, and now they're slashing budgets. Denver says it's not laying off employees while also admitting some workers may have their work hours cut to zero. Imagine that. Basically taking away all hours, but not calculating it as a layoff. It's just a 0-hour employee. They're called now on-call employees. And so this is all for the migrant crisis. So for example, right here, it's to help the city pay for the migrant crisis. And they say here that the city of Denver is trying to avoid the word layoffs when it comes to impending cuts. So instead, they are telling some hourly on-call employees they may have their hours cut to zero. The reduction in hours of operation and programs will affect the number of hours worked by many on-call. So some to the point where they may not receive any hours, right? This just came out, about a week and a half ago. So you're seeing the cuts that are happening. You have Department of Working to cut $4.3 million right here in this area. They're cutting $5 million from the DMV. I mean, Parks and Rec. They're going, I mean, all of these different areas, they're going to be slashing budgets in a very, very, very big way. And so you look at what's happening in Boston. Maybe it's just Denver, but then you look in Boston. Boston, suburbanites house migrants in their homes. They urge everybody should do the same thing, should be opening their doors. Massachusetts residents, a woman and a woman and a husband and wife recently spoke on camera with local outlets about their experiences welcoming migrant families into their homes in Boston suburb Brookline, encouraging others to join opening their doors, part of what one Democratic official deemed as a shared responsibility. So yeah, that lady that's doing that, and then you start to see what's happening in that specific market in Boston. They're looking to cut look at this, announce a $56 billion budget plan with $250 million, $250 million dedicated exclusively to the migrant crisis, right? I mean, it's a major, major, major number, right? And so what they're saying here is, she says here that a woman is, she takes in a migrant into a private home, says it's like having a personal chef. And so when you look at some of these headlines, I mean, we used to call this, right? So look at this. People are really, really up in arms about how fast this is. Migrant family, Haiti shares experience finding a host right in Brookline. Couple they have work permits. So it's shocking. They're taking English classes to learn, right? So you see that. Then you look at what's happening in California. What is happening in California, I believe, is going to be the beginning, because I think this is going to be going to literally every single city in the country. And so what they're working on right now is a bill, Assembly Bill 1840, specifies that applicants in California Dream for All shared application loan program shall not be disqualified solely based on the application's immigration status. And so this is established 2023 to help low and middle income earners buy a home of their own. The program offers eligible buyers a down payment loan with up to 20% of the purchase price. Loans offered under the program do not accrue interest and do not need to be repaid on monthly installments. So imagine this. Imagine someone's going to, offer you that same offer, right? Maybe it's your father, mother, uncle, your rich uncle. Say, you know what? I'm going to give you 20% down, and then you don't have to make monthly payments. That's a home. They're giving you a free house, right? A free house. In a place like California, I mean, free house is what, 800 grand, 900 grand? A home in Compton is 650,000. That's how much homes in Compton are right now. So you think about this. What is this going to look like, right? It's going to look like a lot of change. Look at New York City, for example. They are working on a $100 million budget cut, and this is mainly going to be cuts towards childhood education. Eric Adams cuts $100 million from the education department despite partial reprieve. So $100 million because they have 175,000 people that need housing accommodations. Not including the vets, 175,000, as they say, newcomers need housing accommodations. This is huge. And so what is New York doing? They're floating around the idea of same exact thing as Denver, same thing as Boston. Host them in private residences. And so they already have 50 places of worship that are scattered across the 5 boroughs that are already housing migrants. And what they say here is, he did say that the city would pay places of worship a nightly rate of $125 for each asylum seeker, which is cheaper than the $380 it costs to put them in a migrant household. So $380. Now this is not a monthly $380. No way in New York. I would imagine that maybe that's the daily rate for a family. I mean, you start to look at this, people are going to be forced into doing this. No doubt about it, because they're going to have no choice. You look at the price of food. It is absolutely insane how expensive everything is. You go to a fast food restaurant like McDonald's, for one, it's $20, right? Everything is extremely expensive. And so people are going to, that own a home, they're going to want to hold on to that home. They can't rent out the entire property because they'll have nowhere to go. But they might be able to rent out 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms in that house, bring in some extra money. I think this is where we're headed. So if the private residence plan went ahead, it would mean that New Yorkers are being paid more to host a migrant than a foster parent is given to raise a child in the Empire State. Think about that. The state currently pays a daily allowance of $40 for children aged over 12 years. According to the Office of Child and Family Services, it's cheaper and a good investment for us to go to a family and assist them instead of finding a place, a long congregate setting in these emergency hotels. So you're seeing what's going on there, and then you're like, okay, well, let's look at this, refugee housing solutions. And I just clicked on About Us, and you can see some of the, their partners, very, very, very well-known partners, but I would say one of the most well-known is Airbnb. And Airbnb is now really, kind of driving the ship here, trying to, bring forward a new solution in times of crisis, be a host. And they're offering insurance up to $1 million in USD in liability insurance and $3 million USD in damage protection and more at no cost to host. Certain limitations and exclusions apply. You'll provide a comfortable bed, basic amenities, and many consecutive nights as possible. Airbnb.org partners with resettlement agencies that screen refugee guests for eligibility and assist them before, during, and after their stays. There's going to be a huge thing. Think about the Airbnb bust that's happened the last couple, this big boom that unfolded in 2020 and 2021. All these people own all these Airbnbs, and many of these hotspots are seeing a lot less bookings, and you're going to have a lot of these property owners that are going to be desperate to fill these units. How are they going to fill the units? They're going to be filling them, I think, by either long-term leases if they didn't overpay for the property and insurance and taxes didn't skyrocket. Maybe they'll do a long-term lease. Maybe there's a small percentage of them will consider options like this. I would say a small percentage, 1%, maybe 2%. That's a pretty big percentage though. I mean, maybe more, maybe less. I guess time will tell. But we're going to have a lot of vacant homes through Airbnb over the next couple of years, I would imagine. So you start to look at this and you're like, all right, well, you see foreclosure activity skyrocketing. You're seeing, auto loans going into delinquency at a much, much more alarming rate. Credit card delinquency skyrocketing. What are people going to do? They're going to start bringing in roommates, without doubt. But the big question just becomes is, how will these cities respond over the next coming couple of years? For example, look at what happened in Los Angeles, in Boston, in Denver, in New York City with the eviction moratoriums in 2020 and 2021, 2022. Many of these cities had eviction moratoriums for 2 years. Some, like Los Angeles, 3 years you could not evict a tenant. 3 years. Now imagine if that tenant was paying $2,000 a month, paying $24,000 a year, you start looking at these numbers. Over 3 years, plus legal expenses, you might be out $50,000 or $75,000, $100,000, maybe more, right? Like, the situation is expensive if you were a landlord in Los Angeles and you dealt with a problem like that. You have to imagine if the city is supplying the tenant and the city is supplying the funding, and maybe funding dries up. Maybe they have to do more budget cuts like they're doing in Denver. And they say, you know what, we need to work together. We can't pay $2,000, we can pay $1,200, pay $1,000, $800. Right? What are landlords going to do? Are they going to try to evict? They're going to go to the city and bring an eviction forward to the city with a tenant that was brought forward by the city. I don't know. I mean, it might not happen. I mean, maybe that never happens. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Maybe there's a small percentage that does happen. If it does, I would just consider it. I would consider, it could work out very, very, very well for some property owners. It could be an amazing blessing for some. Could be a nightmare, right? Maybe it could be. Time will tell. What do you think about this entire situation? Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. I think this is going to be one of the biggest changes to the U.S. rental market that we probably have ever seen. And I think this situation, for example, in New York City, 175,000, when you have millions and millions and millions of people that are desperate for housing, where are they going to go? They're going to go into primary residences, single-family homes. They're going to go into multifamily properties. They're going to go into, long-term stable housing. Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself, what I believe is going to be the greatest rug pull in American history, in our economy, that we've ever seen, we'd love to help you. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any issue at all on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow or for Tuesday. Catch you next video.